Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me a boom.
He is Jalen Anthony Rose.
What up, Dow?
I'm David Dowling Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together we are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do, Mr.
We
Rose?
gonna be what they want.
Joel Embiid was giving everybody what they wanted on Wednesday night in the Staples Center. He was Euro-stepping. He was swatting people. He was finding his teammates. He was shooting threes. He had the entire Lakers team in the palm of his hand and won over the nation with a 46-point, 15 rebound, 7 assist, 7 block stat line that made NBA history. This is after he scored 36, after he scored 32 and 16 on the Clippers. Jalen, is Joel Embiid the king of New York? Los Angeles.
Modern-day version of Hakeem Olajuwon. That's been spoken into this microphone before.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to break down his game from a blank canvas. We get so caught up in his terrific personality, the way he's engaging on social media. He has fun quotes to the media.
He's great.
But his actual basketball game is throwback. It's almost ugly at times.
It's modern at the same time.
And it's beautiful. His elbows are everywhere.
Footwork.
His knees are everywhere. He's not the fastest guy off his feet. He's not the quickest guy with the handle. His jump shot is slow. But being 7 foot tall, he has all of the heart.
All of it.
The size, the power, but more importantly, talent and skill. This guy in the post can turn face up, hit you with a hezzy, and make a 15-footer. Yep. This guy can be on the post, turn over both shoulders, do a hook, do a step through, do a dream shake, do an up and under. Yep. This guy can catch and shoot the threes. Yep. This guy can play from the elbow and pass the ball to other teammates.
Watch the game, and he's like, I've got Julius Randle covering me. In the fourth quarter, they put Julius Randle on him on possession after possession. He's just like, just give me the ball. They put Bogut on him. He's like, just give me the ball. Like, there was no answer for him, inside, outside, everything last night.
And this is why I acknowledge that comparison. During my career, there were only 2 guys I remember being on the floor with, and I'm like, on offense, he's the best player. On defense, he's the best player, too. This is crazy.
Give me the names.
Michael Air Jeffrey Jordan, Hakeem the Dream, Olajuwon.
No Shaquille O'Neal? No Shaquille O'Neal in the finals?
I love Big Diesel.
No Shaquille O'Neal?
Never led the league in boards, never led the league in blocks. No. And when it was time to run pick and roll, where is he? Okay. Now, on the other end, he was that anchor of dominance. He was more of an offensive dominant big.
Yeah. So when you look at Embiid, you would say that he is both offensive and defensively dominant.
Look right here. In the third quarter, he had 5 blocks, ended with 7. In the fourth quarter, he had 19 points, ended with 46. That's supreme dominance. And so this young man, the sky's the limit, everybody knows, for his potential. But it's so effortlessly that when you look down at the stat sheet, he's going to be getting monster numbers.
It's the numbers, it's the game as you described, but it's also the smile, the shimmy, and the post-game jokes, like this one when he was asked about his condition.
Well, and against the Clippers, after that line, 32 and 16, you said you were only at about 50%. What are you at now, big boy?
He's gotten a little bit up. Still working on my condition, so I'll say 69%. So I'm at 69%.
Now, I know we disagree. I love the 69 jokes because I'm lowbrow and you're against them. But in this, come on, that was kind of funny.
It's unprofessional.
Sure.
Is the word.
Sure.
But here's the thing about the public and the media. We gravitate to things when they're hot. So when Gronk's playing in Super Bowls.
Oh, yeah.
And the Patriots are virtually going undefeated.
Talk about the boat cruise.
He says 60. He says 69 is no big deal.
So funny.
Now, when Cam Newton starts struggling a little bit, and he has anything to say in a press conference, we're all over it. And so since he has gained the equity of the media by being an open book, and that's something athletes and entertainers and public figures and or adults should always take heed to. When you try to be too perfect, we looking for you to fail. It can't be all of that perfect. It's something with you. You creeping, you texting.
We want to find out that there's something wrong with you. We want to find out that you're relatable, that you've got flaws, and that you're vulnerable.
He's already came out and let us be known that he's going to be himself. So he's smashed anything that now people can say, aha, I got you. But that was just, in one word, it was unprofessional. I don't think he'll do that again, especially talking to a young lady.
Well, on Wednesday night also, across the country, the Cavs beat the Hornets 115-107. The Cavs look pretty good. LeBron throwing alley-oops to Dwayne Wade, little vintage LeBron there. He had 31 points, and he sealed the game with a steal and a dunk. LeBron being LeBron. And then after, he spoke with our homegirl, Cassie Hubbard. Let's listen to LeBron.
How would you describe your mood, LeBron, in this game?
There might be a couple Arthurs going out tonight.
Can we stop with the Arthurs? Like, it's a cartoon for children that he put up a stale meme about, and now we're still talking about Arthurs. Are Arthurs getting stale, Jalen?
Yeah. Arthurs were stale from the beginning on this program.
Yes.
Now, LeBron's performance was outstanding. Looking on the other side real quick, because we don't cover this team much, while he's averaging the most rebounds that he has in 4 years, 14, and averaging double-figure points, Dwight Howard, based on longevity and accomplishments, is going to the Hall of Fame.
We know.
And he's going to be one of those players that you go through his entire career, and if he doesn't find a way to be the guy that's dominant playing in the all-star level consistently, he's going to be somebody that people like, how did he get in?
He's going to be there. We know that, Jay.
Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, improved jump shot. Kemba Walker, one of a handful of guys averaging 20 and 6. But Frank the Tank Kaminsky, he's playing for both teams. Like, seriously, I wanted to look and see what the line of the game was and see if he was betting on it. Like, seriously, like, he got to step his game up as a guy that went in the first round and they need a lot out of him up front. No true surprise about the Cavs. We get a chance to talk about them all of the time.
Of course. We are just about a half an hour and change away from the Celtics winning streak coming to a close. 13 games has been great, but right now the Warriors come out and play. Reggie? Oh, Reggie's
For you to be a die-easy Celtics fan, it seems like you're so enthusiastic and or rooting that they're going to lose just to anticipate being right.
I'm a fan of David Jacoby before I'm a fan of anything else. I'm a fan of being
so
right.
Selfish.
Here's the thing, is it's been fun, this 13-game streak. But Aaron Baines ain't getting it done against the Warriors.
He was out there looking like Kevin McHale against the Lakers.
So one thing that's interesting about this is you have the team that scores the most points in the league and the team that limits the opponent scoring the most in the league. What do you think will give in this matchup?
Individual greatness. When you look at the backcourts, in particular, the lead guard position, Kyrie Irving versus Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a chance to see it during the regular season. We've got a chance to see it during the NBA Finals. Kyrie got injured the first time around. He put on the show the second time around. Made a game-winning shot. Steph and his team got it done the third time. One has 2 MVPs in the regular season, one unanimously, won 2 championships. But Kyrie's in a different role now. He's not running with LeBron James and the Cavs.
Nope.
So I'm interested to see his aggression level because he was uber aggressive before.
He likes to have Steph Curry covering him.
No question.
He likes to have Steph Curry covering him. Not only because he feels like I can get by him, I can get what I want, also because I know that everyone regards him as the best point guard in the NBA, so I want to show everyone that I am the best point guard in the NBA.
And also for fans, historians, future players, or just people that love and enjoy talent and skill, these two guys jump off both feet, finish with both hands, score from every inch of the floor, in the paint, from the free throw line, mid-range, three-point line, off the catch, off the screen, off the dribble handoff, the handler in the pick and roll, the weak side action when the ball is swung to them. Like every phase of the game, these two individuals get it done efficiently.
Except for defense. Let's be honest.
When you're on a great team, it's hard to say you can't play defense because you understand the principles of what's getting accomplished. Now, if you put both of those teams on the Nets, they be getting torched on D.
Yes.
And so when you learn the principles of what both squads want to get accomplished, that's going to create a great matchup. And we're just getting started. Let me take a deep breath. I didn't even say anything about his splash brother, Klay Thompson.
Nope. One thing I find interesting about this particular matchup is Steve Kerr calling the Celtics the team of the future. Now, we've already spoken about what the Sixers did in Los Angeles this week, but one thing that I look at the Celtics team that has won 13 in a row, could win tonight. You know, I'm just joking when I say that the streak is over, kind of. But this team doesn't have Gordon Hayward. You know, and Gordon Hayward, I was thinking about this when I was riding my bike this morning. Gordon Hayward's going to probably be in training camp next season, right? So this Celtics team is going to add, much like the Warriors added KD, this Celtics team, which, I'm not going to compare to the Warriors winning, 73 games, but this Celtics team is a solid team that's had success thus far in the season. There's no reason it won't continue. Will add Gordon Hayward, which makes me think that perhaps the Celtics really are the future of the Eastern Conference.
I didn't think that was breaking news.
No. It feels like it, because I always look at the future of the Eastern Conference as wherever LeBron James is. You know what I mean? Like that's really
this is 15th season.
For me, it's like the future of the Eastern Conference is wherever LeBron is.
That's
whatever uniform he's wearing.
That's like you saying you the future of your house. Q's like, no, that's me, dog.
I guess, but if you look at the Eastern Conference, when LeBron picks to go somewhere, he's going to pick to go somewhere perhaps in the Eastern Conference or stay in Cleveland, and they're going to build a super team around him, and that kind of feels like the immediate future of the Eastern Conference right now.
No, it doesn't.
If we're going long-term future, I would look at the Sixers roster and say that looks better right now in terms of long-term future, 5 years from now.
Hit the brakes.
Okay.
You mean the Sixers roster or the greatness of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons?
Who knows what Markelle Fultz will turn into? Haven't really seen him either.
That's
Dario
why
Saric is developing. Covington just got locked up.
This is okay. Who else?
JJ Redick won't be around anymore. TJ McConnell,
I like him.
They've
Solid
got to
PG.
build a team, but if we're talking about 4 or 5 years now, I believe that they can put other players around them.
Okay. I'll take Kyrie, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Marcus Morris as a collective. See,
you can have Marcus Morris in 5 years.
Philadelphia has the cornerstone franchise level players that can equal a Kyrie Irving and Simmons and Embiid. And I hate to tell everybody I told you so. Embiid has gotten so good that I can't even claim him as one of my guys anymore. And I hate when that
Everyone's
happens.
loved Embiid for a long time.
Like, when the last time you heard me scream Boogie? I can't even... because when these guys become mainstream,
you gotta move on.
I have to move on.
I don't hear you talk about Avery Bradley anymore.
I know.
And he's on your team.
I can't, because everybody knows he's good now. So I have to talk about people like Zach LaVine. So when he becomes good, okay. But in theory, when you talk about comparing the Celtics and the Sixers and or Warriors, I'm going to get back to that, is who's building the team. And the last time I checked, Danny Ainge traded 2 players in the offseason that are both injured. Isaiah Thomas and Fultz. He kind of knows what he's doing. And so I'm going to bet on him versus the Sixers, who did tank to create a process, did take Okafor in the top 5, and they're not using him.
Got rid of Noel.
Did take Fultz number 1. I hear he's actually practicing. They're not using him. But again, both of those squads have terrific upside, but they hope to get where the Golden State Warriors are. And we didn't even talk about the greatness of Kevin Durant. He was Finals MVP. He shut LeBron up by walking in the park. That 3 on the left wing, Oh, man, that was just classic the way he shut it down in Cleveland. I knew they were going to win the series at that point.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm so happy, I feel like I can fly.
Disclaimer, you will not be able to fly by switching to Geico. This is against the laws of physics and nature. If you find yourself flying, please seek professional and or medical help immediately. In the unlikely event you find yourself flying, you might be a superhero, or a pigeon, or a superhero named Pidgewoman, who was bitten by a radioactive pigeon. If you are indeed Pidgewoman, Geico retains all licensing publishing rights in the event Pidgewoman the movie becomes a top-grossing Hollywood blockbuster.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Jalen.
What up, though?
The Sixers against the Lakers was not the only game in the NBA last night. I know it felt like that because Joel Embiid had 46 points and was doing everything that he was doing. But there was another game that I know you had your eye on between the surprisingly hot Detroit Pistons, who are 10-4, and the Milwaukee Bucks. This didn't go the way you wanted it to, Jalen.
It didn't.
But quietly, the Bucks have not lost a game since they have added Eric Bledsoe. You know, he's not been tearing it up, but what is he bringing to this team based on the small sample size that you've seen?
Aggression, another ball handler, a level of toughness and experience, a playmaking. He had 8 assists, 6 boards, got to the line 5 times, had 14 points. Another guy that can get you double digits. And a starter, more importantly. As their team develops, if they're truly going to reach their goals, he has to be their second best player. Middleton was terrific. He had 27 points, shot over 50% from the floor.
40 minutes.
8 dimes. He had a really solid game. Greek Freak, pedestrian by his own standards. 50%, 21 points, 6 boards. It was like a workman-like win over the Pistons. They held them to 35% shooting from the floor. Ultimate glue guy, Avery Bradley was letting them have it, though.
So here's one thing I want to talk to you about. The enigma that is Reggie Jackson. Like, I remember the Pistons started hot. Was that last year or 2 years ago? It was last year, right? They started hot just like they did this year. And it was the Drummond-Jackson pick and roll that no one had a solution for. It was 2 seasons ago, I believe. Seems like Reggie Jackson was in trade rumors last year, and when you watch a Pistons game, he doesn't seem to be like the Reggie Jackson that originally came over from the Thunder that was ready to spread his wings like Kyrie has on the Celtics now that he's free from the Thunder holding him back. Like, the Reggie Jackson this year has been below expectations.
Here's why.
Why's that?
He's not as good as Kyrie Irving. No. And what ends up happening is, as a starting point guard that gets the kind of contract that he has, in your head you have to live up to that. Mm-hmm. Especially when players like John Wall come out and be like, he got $80 million? I need to get double that. He actually ended up doing it, by the way. And so Stan Van, the reason why, and by the way, if you haven't seen an article that Stan Van Gundy did on his thoughts about player protest and how this country was founded on making those around us feel equal, but also accountable and uncomfortable at times, you should check that article. I think it was the New York Post. It was terrific. I'm going to have to tweet it.
Players Tribune.
Because I enjoyed it that much. Huge fan of his. What he has done is what all really good coaches must do. Be able to coach your 2 best players. And sometimes...
Who are the 2 best players in the Pistons?
And sometimes in a salary cap driven sport, that's your 2 highest paid players.
He wrote that for Time Magazine.
That's for Time Magazine. And in this case, Andre Drummond, who has 17 boards. Usually his aggression level and Reggie Jackson's go hand in hand because of the pick and roll you talked about and the effectiveness they have in it. But when both of those guys don't bring the enthusiasm and the energy, Stan does a really good job of going to the workmanlike bench that the Pistons have. And since Tobias Harris started off having a terrific season, had a modest game, 13 points against the Bucks, that allows you to have the opportunity when those 2 guys aren't being efficient to put other guys in that you know are going to play hard.
There's something that I need to talk to you about. A game that no one noticed. The Kings, 3-11, hosted the Hawks, 3-12. No one cares about this game. It's two teams from the bottom of the barrel. They're tanking for picks. They have names on their rosters, but no one's excited about this game. How is it that the Atlanta Hawks beat the Kings by 46 points? The Atlanta Hawks should not be beating anybody by 46 points. Afterwards, there was grumblings amongst the Kings about lack of effort. You know how it is when you lose 46? 46 to the Atlanta Hawks. And how does this happen? What are the conversations that happen amongst the Kings afterwards?
This is the worst possible outcome. I guarantee you a veteran like George Hill, who's been around the game for a really long time, don't be surprised if you look up and he's traded soon. And the reason why I say that is because when you're a vet, and there will be people to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm doing this off the top of the dome. It's not that you lose per se. It's who you lose with and to. When you look at the Hawks roster, not a bunch of lottery picks or first rounders.
No.
However, when I look at the Kings roster, it's littered with both.
Yep.
Malachi Richardson, Buddy Hield, Fox.
Cauley Stein was picked high.
And so these are the guys that you trade Zebo for. You ultimately lose Isaiah Thomas for. There are multiple guys that have come to the Kings, played pretty good basketball, or were underperforming and went elsewhere and played a lot better.
You mean trade Boogie for, but I got you.
Yeah, traded DeMarcus Cousins for. Or even my guy that's playing for the Memphis Grizzlies, that averaged 26-5 his rookie year for the Sacramento Kings.
Who's that?
Tyreke Evans. Even Boogie Cousins, Tyreke Evans, Isaiah Thomas. These are all players elsewhere getting minutes and being ultra productive. So this is a kick in the teeth. Their season is over. Let me say this again. What's today's date?
It is November 16th.
Just think about what I just said. It's November 16th and the Sacramento Kings season is over.
I think it was over like October 16th.
It was assumed then. It's official now. And so it's just it's just a lack of effort, a lack of player development, a lack of decision making, a lack of a true plan of what it's going to take to build a squad. If they just extended Vlade, like this is a professional mess.
If you're Coach Yeager, right?
You're drinking a lot of Jaeger.
A lot of Jaeger after this one. But what do you do? Like, your season's over. You're not even necessarily that motivated to win games, but your players are not even motivated to try to win games based on this performance. What do you do if you're Coach Jaeger? You pick up a hobby?
Try not to get fired?
Whittling? Yeah, start whittling? Start taking karate classes? What are you doing?
I'm going to tell you what happens in these cases. You're trying to save your job. So you're trying to make sure you're lock in step with the GM/president and or ownership. Hey, guys, what do you want me to do?
We're trying to lose games. I'm doing a great job at losing games.
No, but that's easy to say now. When you take these guys that I just mentioned, and that's why I just talked about the lottery and first-round picks, you're posting videos when Boogie leave. You're like, we're going to be that squad. We're going to show them. You're not like, oh, we're going to tank.
Yep. You're right.
It's a disaster going on with that situation right now.
Buddy Hield, who they championed as the next Steph Curry, played 21 minutes, and the next Steph Curry went 2 for 8 from the field and had 6 points.
But also, it's truly hard for me to evaluate young players in terrible situations. I always talk about getting drafted by the wrong team. I seen De'Aaron Fox make a game-winning shot, look quick, look good, look like promising. See him in this game with this bunch of players, It's hard to evaluate Cauley-Stein. I saw him in the media saying he had the size and the skill of Joel Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does.
No, he doesn't.
On the video game, probably.
No, he doesn't. I don't even think he got it in the video game.
No, you can fix it.
Okay, I don't play a lot of those games.
Yeah, you can fix it. You can make it. He could be on a video game. He could be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I don't understand the level of dysfunction that's happening with that situation right now.
If you're Zebo, what are you doing about it? Getting your checks?
Hey, man, let me tell you something. He got in trouble this offseason. They gave him a new check. He ain't in jail. He a vet. Memphis about to retire his number. He's like, what time is practice? Y'all go ahead, young fellas. I'm going to ice my knees. I'm shutting up and getting my bread. He was, and you look, see, he was 7 for 11 and 16.
Jalen Rose, Kevin Durant, in the latest issue of Gentleman's Quarterly magazine, was profiled by one of the greatest writers in the history of the English language, Zach Barron, who may or may not be someone I play golf with from time to time. And he had some very interesting quotes, Mr. Rose. Let's start with this one. Quote, Steph Curry is the face of the franchise, and that helps me out because I don't have to. I don't want to have to be the leader. I'm not a leader. I'm bad at saying, stand behind me and follow me. Are you as surprised as I am that the NBA Finals MVP, someone considered to be one of the best players in the NBA, said, I am not a leader on wax?
The number one knowledge that you can have between your ears is of self. When you look in the mirror, do you see yourself or your manager, your agent? Or do you see, honestly, who you are and who you hope to become, more importantly? And try to be the best version of yourself each day. He told us that when he left Oklahoma City with his decision that he didn't want to be the leader. That's why he joined a 73-win team that already had an MVP.
And All-Stars.
It wasn't just about winning games. It was about allowing his personality to fit. And so it doesn't surprise me that he said it. I'm not shocked by it. The thing that gets lost in the media a lot is people think the best player is the leader. And that's so far from the truth. People think the leading scorer or the future Hall of Famer wants the ball in the clutch. Look at so many teams on every level. Sometimes the best player, including LeBron James, isn't the guy that you want to give the ball to sometimes in the clutch at points of their careers. LeBron has remedied that at this point of his career and become a clutch performer. And so I'm not surprised, and I'm glad he was honest and open about it.
I just find it strange for him to say, I am not a leader. You know what I mean? I think that it's one thing to say, well, people lead in different ways, and I'm not a vocal leader, or I lead by example, or I let my basketball do the talking. But just to straight up be like, I'm not a leader, it's just an interesting thing to say. And you say that knowledge of self is the most important thing, but you have to be pretty self-actualized. You have to be understanding of who you are to even say that to somebody, especially a reporter.
But also, look at it from this lens. He's not married. He doesn't have kids. He now doesn't have the responsibility of everybody always looking to him and judging him off of what he says and does, because he already let it be known. I ain't the leader.
And you know I like to keep expectations low.
No question about it. No question about it. And so I have no problem with it. And again, he's just being true to who he is.
Now, this I found really interesting. This is probably the most interesting thing in the article. We all know what happened this summer when Kevin Durant, from his own account, was replying to someone else on Twitter, speaking about Kevin Durant in the third person and disparaging the roster of the Thunder and saying how could he win with those guys and all that. We all remember that. Huge controversy. Everyone assumed that he had a second account that he thought he was tweeting from. He told Zach Barron, the writer of this, that he does not have a second account and that he was sleepy. And it was during a disassociative moment in which he responded in the third person. He said, quote, it just felt like I was on the outside looking in at a conversation. I had to walk in and just be like, nah. Jalen, why is he saying that he was sleepy and that he defended himself in the third person because he was disassociating himself?
Sometimes people get delusional, and you tell yourself the same lie so many times you actually start to believe it.
How many times have you woken up from a nap, been a little sleepy, and just started disparaging your old teammates on Twitter? Just how many times have you done that in the third person? How many times have you done that?
I think having the burner account is corny. But what ends up happening is we take too much stock in what other people have to say when we truly don't understand the trials and tribulations that they're personally dealing with in their lives.
But you make a good point, because you talk about knowledge of self. Like we just talked about the leadership thing, and it's understanding of who you are and owning who you are in your own actions. But the same person that said, I am not a leader, and shows that knowledge of self and it reveals themselves, denies that he has a burner account and kind of made up what I think is a story about what happened during that. It seems like he's still at odds trying to figure himself out. Is that fair?
I think he's young. And what ends up happening as you grow and you mature, you try to figure which path is going to make me the most happy, but more importantly, going to allow me to continue to maintain my sense of self-worth while achieving my goals. And going to Golden State put him in a position to do that basketball-wise. Mm-hmm. To your point, it seemed like he's still trying to iron that out personally.
I wish him the best. This was also interesting. Of course, he's being compared to LeBron. They face each other in the finals. He was the MVP. They guarded each other. And here's what he said about LeBron James. Quote, he's 4 years older than me, so he's still the big homie. But I'm on the same level as a basketball player. Off the court, I can learn a thing from you. But as a basketball player, I feel like it's 1A, 1B, and that's an accomplishment for me. Jalen Rose, do you think it is 1A, 1B between Kevin Durant and LeBron James in the NBA?
That was spoken via KD and through you, and I'm still unclear, which is why I'm going to ask. I took that as he felt like he's 1A. Is that how you took it?
I was going to ask that. He never clarifies, but to me, it seemed like he put himself as 1B. That's a great question. When you heard me say that from his mouth, it was, I'm 1A, LeBron is 1B.
When I read the quote, it looked like he's saying that he's 1A. But really, I know the definition of what he was trying to say was that he's 1B.
Yes.
And that's an accomplishment for me to be on that level with this big homie, somebody he can learn things about off the floor.
Would you say it's more accurate between Durant and LeBron to say that it is number 1 and number 2, or 1A and 1B?
They're the same thing. Apples and oranges.
That's a good point. It's like one's in front of the other. It's 1 and 2, whatever.
But Kawhi's in the conversation, and I know he's not playing right now, and it's easy to forget about how good that guy is. But I remember being in the gym, and it was game 1, and the Spurs were up 20 against the Warriors before Zaza Pachulia took over and hurt Kawhi.
Jalen Rose, last week we retired the word swagger from the lexicon.
And if you hear somebody using it, tune them out immediately.
That word is over. This week, we're retiring another word, and this one is much more important to the two of us.
This term isn't cultural. It isn't gender specific. But after this show, that term should never be used again to describe
people of all
this article
ages,
of clothing.
all ethnicities, everybody doesn't hesitate to call that a wife beater and not even think about what those two terms mean. We did some research as how we got there. Like, how is this called a wife beater? It's actually an athletic shirt that was created in the 1800s for gymnasts. And then in 1947 in Detroit, a man named James Hartford Jr. had a mugshot all over the papers wearing a stained athletic shirt, where it first started the association. A few years later, in 1951, Marlon Brando appeared in an athletic shirt in a streetcar named Desire. He was also playing a domestic abuser. That's how we got here. This is how it ends. 2017, right now, we are retiring the term wife beater for an athletic shirt. Jalen Rose, do the honors.
My pleasure. In the rafters.
We will never say this term again, not just on this show, but in our lives, and we suggest you do the same. Yep. Okay, good. Let's move on, Mr. Rose. The Rock is filming a movie, okay? And I know you know how these work. You're a big star, you make millions of dollars, you sign up to film a movie, you get something called a rider. I need a trailer, I need this, I need that. The Rock has 40,000 pounds of gym equipment set up everywhere he films a movie, no matter where he films a movie. We've all heard stories about celebrity riders, Van Halen asking for no brown M&Ms in a bowl and all these crazy things. Well, Jalen, we've got your rider for this show. You have a very specific list of demands that you need every single day to do this show. Now, are you prepared for this topic? Have we even talked to you about this?
Not at all.
You never prepare for any topics. Well, guess what? We have your rider right here on screen. And I promise our audience, you have not seen these yet. For every single one, you need 16 bottles of Fiji water, 6 bags of Better Made chips, 3 pair of size 15 Puma sneakers, preferably Clydes, 1 hot apple cider, and absolutely zero research. Jalen Rose, look around. You were not prepared for this. Look to your left. What is there? Better Made chips. We got those. We got bottles of Fiji water. And again, this is completely unprepared. And before the show, what did you call me and ask for?
When you go to Starbucks, please give me an apple cider. A hot one. No caramel, no whipped cream.
Who's a bigger diva, you or Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
The Rock, no doubt about it. My stuff costs $5.
I know he's got $40,000, 40,000 pounds of gym equipment. Look when he's filming in another country.
Put it this way. I can move all of my items personally if I need to. He can't.
Okay, I'm going to remind you that next time you ask for something from Starbucks, we'll see if you can move it from Starbucks to the studio. I can't believe I'm your gopher. I'm a co-host and a gopher.
You're going anyway?
I know, I am going anyway. Gotta get my English breakfast tea, man. Gotta get it. Shout to Better Made Chips for outfitting Jalen Rose and the Jalen Rose studio.
I love the popcorn, too.
Boxes. Oh, now you're going to hit him up for more? Is that what's happening?
Shout out.
If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail. If you leave us a voicemail, it can appear on the show on our Shell Pennzoil Performance line just like this.
Jalen and Jacoby, what up, though? This your boy B from Berkeley, California. Hey, yo, I appreciate y'all playing that message about the Uber. I really appreciate that. My girl got on me for rambling, so I'm just going to get straight to the point. Have y'all heard that new Cameron album, The Program? What do you think of it? Let me know. Shout out Reg. And can I get a shout out this time to my wife, Christy? It was our 13-year anniversary, 11/11. So shout out to her. She listens to the podcast as well. So shout out to the whole staff. Keep getting them checked. Peace.
Shout out to B. Shout out to Christy.
Shout out.
Representing Cali. And I appreciate the fact that he called a couple of times and she's like, that's too long.
Yeah, I like that. Because sometimes, we have the editing ability. So some of these messages that you hear have been edited down.
And for somebody that's done a lot of television and a lot of radio, I can tell that he picked up his pace and his voice inflection. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate
Christy
that level of sacrifice.
Because you've been with someone for 13 years, like they're the first to clown you.
11/11. Congratulations on your anniversary.
Shout to them.
And way to get on him about his Uber etiquette.
And let me tell you, I have listened to Cameron on the program. When Cameron comes out with a new album, I'll give it a bicycle ride listen through. It did not touch me first time through, but it has started to grow on me over time. There's one thing I want to talk to you about, though, Jalen. Do you like coleslaw?
I eat it. I don't love it. Nettas is one of the most famous brands of shrimp in Detroit. And so when you ordered shrimp, you would always get the fries. You got to eat them right then or they don't taste as good because they're not hot. And they always give you coleslaw. So I would just eat it to eat it.
Just because it was around?
And or like when you at a barbecue, people just have it to have it.
Yeah.
But I don't wake up in the morning like I must have some coleslaw.
So Cameron has a song on the album disparaging coleslaw. And I happen to really enjoy coleslaw. Mustard-based, vinegar-based, put some pepper on top of that coleslaw. I enjoy coleslaw. Like, I look forward to coleslaw. Now, not every single coleslaw. It varies a lot in quality. But a good coleslaw, I happen to really, really enjoy. I was speaking with that to a member of the staff, and not everyone loves coleslaw. No. And it led to this question. Is coleslaw cultural? I don't know. We're going to ask the people. Call in. Let me know if you think coleslaw is cultural. I don't know. That's why I asked.
I'll say no.
I don't know. I'm going to say no, too, but I don't know.
It's not cultural.
I don't know.
It's not cultural.
I would say maybe a passion for coleslaw is cultural.
I'll say it's regional.
Regional's fair. Thank you so much for the call, B. Shout to Christy. Shout to Cameron, one of the best to ever do it.
Yes, indeed.
Cameron's album is so dope that even Reggie said he likes it. He did. He told me off wax. He's embarrassed right now, but even Reggie said he liked it. Let's listen to another voicemail on our Shell Penzo
Killer.
What up, though? This is Big G from the ATL. Big what up to, Jalen, Jacoby, Big Reg, everybody on the cast for the #1 podcast in the nation. Hopefully that is enough love to get me on the air. I hear all this slander going on about Tupac and Jay-Z. But as long as we're keeping it real, I don't want to slander your hometown, but who's the biggest overrated rapper of all time, I think, is Eminem. I mean, come on, people. He raps the same way all the time. He has one flow. Really, he's just a victim of Dr. Dre's greatness. Not so much as his greatness. I mean, I don't even think that he is the best white rapper of all time. I mean, what up to the Beastie Boys? Or what up to Everlast, who's been down with the Rhyme Syndicate from day one? Anyway, let me know what y'all think about this. Holla at your boy. I'm out.
See, Reggie's trying to hijack the show here. One thing I'm not going to let this show deteriorate into is the barbershop, who's the best, who's overrated, hot take, rapper this, rapper that conversation every day. I'm old. I get fatigued. It's a personal opinion. It's a subjective opinion that everybody has a different opinion on. There is no right or wrong answer to this stuff. It's what you feel. Big G feels that Eminem is the most overrated rapper of all time. And Reggie's trying to get me to scream. He's trying to get me to get all upset at Big G and disrespect my man Big G in Atlanta. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get caught up by this trap of people getting mad at me because I don't love Tupac. Or people getting mad at me because I said that Biggie's got some whack verses out there. I'm not going to let this show deteriorate into that cliched, fatigued, stale, top 5 dead or alive conversation. I'm not going to let it happen.
And here's what I'm not going to allow happen. What up, though, Big G? Appreciate the shout about the #1 pod.
Shout out.
I'm not about to allow this program deteriorate into the opposite of what you just said. There are certain things, and I wrote down this word, that aren't subjective. They are about right or wrong. And let me name you a couple of them.
Okay, Mr. Rose.
Big, Pac, Jay, and Marshall.
That's your opinion.
No, that's a fact.
That's your opinion.
If you have eyes and ears and a brain, you know that.
That's your opinion.
No, that's not an opinion.
That's your opinion.
That's a fact.
That's your opinion.
That's like 2 + 2 is 4.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's very different,
It's
Mr.
like
Rose.
E equals MC
it's
squared.
It's very different, Mr. Rose. It's your opinion.
No, it's not. If me saying that Marshall Mathers doesn't spit bars into a microphone is not an opinion. That's a fact.
If you fly to the Amazon River, okay, and you go to one of those societies that is untouched from outside, that no one's ever discovered before, they still have 2 + 2 is 4, but you know what they don't have? Pac and Biggie and Eminem albums. What? That's the difference between subjective and objective.
I'm going to save this breath because I may need it when I get 125.
125?
Y'all making my blood boil.
125. This is Reggie. Reggie's manipulating us.
Big G, Amin El Hassan, David Jacoby, all of you guys.
What about the?
I'm just disgusted.
Indigenous people of the Amazon. You discussed with them too?
I'm just disgusted. Like, you know what I might do? I might just fart in the studio.
I know you wouldn't say that unless you had to fart. I know you wouldn't say that unless you had to fart. Please don't fart in the studio. Thank you so much for the call, Big G. You're subjectively wrong about Eminem.
First off, I know you love Andre 3000. I know you do.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like you. When I first heard their album, their flow, I was like, man, I'm hooked. And being from Detroit, you know what I did? I need to get the Freaknik. And you know what else I did? 2 weeks before it was time to go? I was hanging out places I probably shouldn't be hanging out. Gambling with people in neighborhoods I probably shouldn't have been gambling with. But you know, Big G, what happened from that? I won money to get a down payment for a Honda Accord.
Great.
And you know what I ended up doing with that Honda Accord? I was riding down to Atlanta with Jimmy King and Ray Jackson because we needed to be at Freaknik.
Now, here's a question.
Now, I can't front. There was another one of our teammates that we could not find that said he was not going. And I cannot make this up. We make 2 lefts and 2 rights down the strip in Atlanta. One of the first people we see is Chris Webber.
So you had enough money for the down payment, but how did you make all the subsequent payments?
It was $300 a month.
That's hard to scrounge together when you're, an unpaid student athlete at the University of Michigan.
Hustler. If I'm breathing, I could get that. I wasn't worried about it at that point. The hardest thing for anybody that's gotten a vehicle is to sign all of the paperwork, get the keys, and drive off the lot.
Once you're there, it's just another bill.
No question.
It's just another bill.
No question. That Pell Grant money used to come in handy. I used to get like $1,800. I was rich.
Thanks so much for the call, Big G. Let's listen to another voicemail.
What up? This is Alex from Buffalo, coming at you from the University of Pittsburgh. Appreciate the love on my 21st a couple weeks ago. Just thought I'd call back, giving some relationship advice. Got a question for you guys, and this is a great question. Reg, shout out to you, man. I really hope you play this on the show. I think a lot of people are going through this. So if a boy or girl likes this other boy or girl, but they think they're a little out of their league, soft move or boss move to try to go for it anyway, because you never know, and all success is on the other side of fear. I know happiness is a function of expectation, so can't be expected too much. But if a girl or boy is out of your league, going for it anyway, soft move, boss move. Also, basketball question. Charlotte Hornets put up a good fight against the Cavs the other night. What do they need to get, top 5 seed or be in that class with, Bucks, Wizards, Raptors, those teams? I know Kembla's my guy. I really like him. He's playing at all-star level again this year. But what else do they need to try to get that team over the hump? Shout out to the rest of the crew. Alex, Barron. What's up, Barron? Talk to you guys later.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate the love.
I love that he started with, this is a great question.
And I love that he said Barron twice.
Yeah, he said it like you, Barron. He used your intonation with it.
No question. Appreciate that. He's definitely a loyal supporter of the show. A couple of things. I'm going to get to the basketball one real quick. Charlotte needs a dominant big man. If you look at the landscape of the league, the best teams either have that wing position filled between 6'6" and 6'9", LeBron, KD, Kawhi, or they have that dominant young big that shows promise. Embiid, Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns. Porzingis, Greek Freak. Who's their best big? Dwight Howard. Frank Kaminsky.
Batum's back.
He's not a big.
I know, but I'm just trying to name people that can help.
That's what they need. I was watching the game, and like I said, I do like to get on guys. Frank Kaminsky, I was looking at him like he might be out the league soon.
Really?
No question. I remember saying this about the young man, and I'm not picking on him, but sometimes you got to be the OG in the game. They was doing the dances with Russell Westbrook.
Cameron Payne.
And I said while they were teammates, what did I say about him doing that?
That he might be out of the league soon.
Correct. Because one guy's on the track to be an MVP. If you don't realize, y'all play the same position. And when y'all finish the dance, he goes to the starting lineup. You go to the end of the bench. And one day you probably get the realization, that's my dude and all, but man, I need to be on that floor. And then you get traded to the Bulls. So that's one. But I'm rooting for campaign, and I'm rooting for Frank Kaminsky.
Alex, real quick, no one's out of your league.
Ever.
There's no such thing as out of your league. There's no such thing as out of your league. We're all in the same league.
No question. We're all in the same league. Let me tell you something that may make you feel better. There are so many times on social media that you see a guy with a woman in particular, and everybody else that sees their relationship and feel like, how did he get with her? I remember what it happened with Jay-Z and Beyonce. How did he get with her? People would always say that question. Usually what ends up happening is you don't necessarily go after just beauty and money and looks and things like that. Of course you want to look at your mate and be attracted to them. You know what you go after? Companionship, trust, respect.
Preach.
These are things and traits that money can't buy because the looks wear off. When you wake up in the morning, the makeup isn't on. Fellas, your breath and your feet probably stinking. Probably got a little jock itch going. All of that doesn't matter. So nobody's out of your league. Go for it.
Let me tell you something, Jalen. My feet stink. My breath is bad. I don't got Jokic going. I'll tell you that much. So Isaiah Thomas was asked after the game, what's tougher right now, not being able to compete or making sure you don't mess up any handshakes? You know what he said.
Handshakes.
I often wonder about this because it is hard to remember all that.
Did you see Paul Pierce and Beetle do their handshake at halftime on Countdown?
Of course. I watch every second and every single frame of NBA Countdown because I support my friends and colleagues.
It was hilarious. And the thing is, it was slow. It was unorthodox.
I knew you were going to say something mean because you said something nice first.
And then they bumped one another. You can't do that 100 times.
No. They're too long and complicated.
You're sitting in chairs with arms on them.
What are the rules on the NBA handshakes, though? For real, after a loss, do you still do them?
Here's the thing.
After a loss, do you still do an intricate handshake? I don't want to do that with you.
Players do intricate handshakes after losses in professional sports now. When I played, we didn't.
I don't want to do that because I don't have the energy. I'm mad. You missed a shot. You didn't play defense. Your guy scored 28, 18 in the final quarter. I'm not giving you an intricate handshake.
See, I'm not the dude that you go 0 for 7 from the line and I'm going to come give you dap.
I like that.
I'm going to just stay on the line and be like, come on, big fella.
Just look the other way. You got that. Jalen?
What up, though?
Your guy, Zach LaVine, is about to be cleared for contact and practices as early as next week. What are your expectations for him on this losing, infighting, weird Bulls team?
It just makes me appreciate this program and the chemistry that we have so much that as you tee this question up, Reg plays the classic big pun, I gave you fair warning, beware. Because that's how I feel about his return.
Great work by you. Great radio hosting right there, Jalen Rose. Great radio hosting. This has been your guy. You pick guys. Zach LaVine is one of the... To everybody else, Zach LaVine's the guy from the dunk contest.
Nobody's talking about him right now in their program.
Yeah. Zach LaVine was the guy from the dunk contest. He had a great dunk contest.
He about to come back and be straight up averaging 20-plus right off the top.
So let me ask you a question that only a professional basketball player can answer. Is he better off in his development on the Timberwolves with Coach Thibodeau, leadership from Jimmy Butler, surrounded by good players, winning games, going to playoff series? Or is he better off for his development on the Bulls where they just need somebody that's going to get buckets, you get more opportunities, more shots, more alpha male opportunities?
You said develop.
Mm-hmm.
No question with the Bulls.
Why is that?
Because he gets a chance to grow into his game and see if he can become a franchise player.
They're punching each other in the face, though.
It wasn't him. No. And I like the young players that they have. We talk a lot about so many rookies. People need to start paying attention to marketing.
No one's paying attention to him. No one's paying attention because he's on the Bulls. And people aren't checking for Bulls right now.
But that's why people come to our program. We're not the large show that goes from state to state and does the big 60,000 people arena.
Who would you start a franchise with?
We're the tastemakers.
Carson Wentz or Dak Prescott?
We're the tastemakers. That's why you come here.
Who's the best running back
We're
in the
the
NFL?
boutique.
What does LeBron James mean?
Who's the top players under 25?
Who is Arthur, and is he an anteater? And why does he look like not an anteater?
And so we take you behind the curtain. And I'm telling you guys right now, Zach LaVine, now in the Eastern Conference, and I'm not going to go over the list of guys that we put on wax that just kind of took off like birds and got away from us because they came mainstream. I remember getting emails about calling DeMarcus Cousins Boogie on television.
What, they didn't want you to call him Boogie?
Now it's mainstream.
Now he's about to have his own show.
How about that?
You can't say his name without saying Boogie.
And so Zach LaVine is going to grow into that conversation of elite, game-changing perimeter players in the NBA.
Kawhi Leonard, also developing. You know what I mean? Like Kawhi's absence from the Spurs has been an undercovered story in the National Basketball Association world. You know, it's like one of the best players in the game. No one argues that. MVP candidate. No one argues that. But he's missing. The Spurs are about 9-4. I want to say 9-5. What do you think? Do you think they're being cautious with his return based on their success?
You must be. And also, you touched on something that playing for 6 teams in the NBA taught me right off the bat.
What's that?
You ask anybody that played in the NFL, what's it like to have multiple rings? You might as well say, what's it like to play with Tom Brady?
Mm-hmm.
What's it really like to play with Joe Montana and Jerry Rice? Same thing for the NBA. What was it like to play with Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, and Shaq? What was it like to play with LeBron?
Is Phil really that cool of a coach?
And what kind of guy's Coach Pop? What kind of guy's Belichick? And the reason why I bring this up is all-time greatness, yes, gets you multiple championships, but organizational greatness creates a culture of success with great decision-making and a plan that continues to function regardless to who you plug in amongst that greatness. I'm looking at you, Brad Stevens, Danny Ainge, and Boston Celtics. The last time I checked, people are excited and surprised that they're the number 1 seed. Newsflash, they were the number 1 seed last year.
Yep. Had a completely different roster last year.
Yep. Oh, you said they were 9-4?
The Spurs are 9-6.
Without Kawhi. Without Kawhi. A top 3 player in the game.
6.66 win percentage without Kawhi.
Come on now. That's organizational greatness. And so it is an underreported story that he has not played. Of course, when they get cautious, they're going to be extremely cautious. Yep. They've always been that team ahead of the health curve. So it's going to be interesting to see when he comes back, because we know they're going to take that precaution.
The producers got in my ear and told me that my math was wrong. Do you know how
I know 9-6 ain't 60%, but I just kept going.
I know. It actually is 60%. But my point is we say so many things that are wrong on this show that we wish we got corrected for, but the little ones, it's like all of it quick, like in my ear all quick. What? I complain a lot. Yep. Shout out to our audience and our 1-800-FLOWERS Twitter feed, because we put it out every single day on @Jalen and Jacoby that we want questions back, and people send us questions back. Today we asked for some NBA predictions on Twitter, Jalen.
Okay,
so
great.
These are some of the predictions, and you're going to evaluate how realistic you think they are. First of all, this one's to Lobster Statue. Shout out to him. I think it's his birthday or something.
Co-producer.
LeBron James will fire Tyronn Lue at the end of the season, and we're putting it on wax.
Not going to be able to do it.
Tell you what, LeBron's not worried about what Ty Lue's going to do next year at the end of the season.
He don't even know if he's going to be there.
Exactly. He's worried about
he ain't worried
what
about that.
LeBron James is going to do at the end of the season. That's what he's worried about. Next one. Almost infinity. Andre Drummond will become the first player in history to braid his shoulder hair. That's not fair. I always say you can be mean if you're funny.
That's funny.
That's funny enough? I feel bad because my policy is really, I can't stick to this 100% because I'm not a perfect person, but I try not to make fun of people for things they can't control. He didn't wake up in the morning and say, I want this shoulder hair, But he did at some point say, I don't want this shoulder hair, and they put a little one clip to it. Because it was there one day, gone the next. Shout out to Andre Drummond having a good year. I'll never clown you for your shoulder hair.
That's little bro. JRLA supporter. I'm going to a few Piston games between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Next. The 76ers beat the Celtics and faced the Cavs in the Eastern Conference playoffs. See, I can tell you weren't really listening to that one.
The Celtics will not be beating the Cavs.
The Sixers will not be. No, the Sixers will beat the Celtics. Nope. That's just you know what? Joel Embiid's fun to watch, and Ben Simmons is a great rookie. But come on now. Amir Johnson plays 24 minutes a game.
Not yet.
Not yet. A lot of TJ McConnell out there.
Yet.
This team's not going to the finals.
We still got to see Joel Embiid stay healthy. Dominant young player. One of my favorites.
This is from Dylan. Will Barton will get injured in the playoffs, and the Nuggets will get RZA to fill in like Washington did with the Morris twins last season. Will Barton and RZA do look alike. At one point, we are going to have the rapper NBA player look-alike segment. I'm sure it's already been done before. Don't at me. But we're going to do it with Jalen Jacoby twist.
shout out?
I like it. Fan of Will Barton, too. He was one of my sleepers.
I like him. I like Hood, too. You know, you have your guys.
Rodney Hood.
Rodney
number
Hood
5.
is one of my guys. Like, it's one of my guys. I know you got your guys. Rodney Hood is one of my guys. No one's talking about Rodney Hood.
And I got to tell you something else.
What's that?
He's one of mine, too. Lefty number 5.
Mm-hmm. Covington is another one of my guys, but he's starting to get hot. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys.
He got a $60 million deal
now.
he's
starting to get hot. Everybody's talking about him. Now. Yeah, because everyone watches the Sixers to see Embiid and Simmons is like, who's that guy? Who's that? Covington, huh? He just shot from 30 feet. Dominic Woods says Cleveland will not win the East this year. That's my prediction.
Just don't bet on it. You can predict it.
Yeah, go ahead.
If Isaiah Thomas come back healthy, the thing that's gotten lost with this NBA season is 2 things. People have forgotten how good Kawhi Leonard and Isaiah Thomas really are.
I think that's fair to
basketball.
say. I think that's fair to say. I'm guilty of Kawhi, too. You know I'm always low on the Spurs. Next, this is from Johnny. Cavs give up that first-round pick and other pieces for DeMarcus Cousins. Cousins will once again find out about the trade while talking to the media at the All-Star game.
I've talked about this on Wax. If you want to really keep LeBron James, you get on the phone with New Orleans. Said this on Countdown Wednesday night. And you say, other than Isaiah, you can have whoever you want.
No, I think it's Tristan.
Take him.
The pick.
Take it.
And
Crowder,
Jeff
Korver,
Green, Jeff Green, one of those guys. They got enough.
No, hit the brakes. Can't take Korver.
Yeah, Korver's too important.
I'm keeping Isaiah and Korver. You can have anybody else you want.
Oh, I think you need Crowder.
You can have anybody.
Someone's got to. So someone's got to play when LeBron comes out.
But you either going to keep Crowder or Jeff Green.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Jeff Green's not Dean like Crowder is, though.
And by the way, you still have LeBron.
You do have LeBron, and you get DeMarcus Cousins.
And the goal is to keep LeBron.
So
imagine a lineup that has Isaiah, LeBron, and Boogie. Now you're building.
So me and you and Johnny are just talking into microphones, doing the hypothetical radio show thing. But like 0 to 100, how realistic is this trade actually happening? What percent chance would you put on it?
It's all bad. It's really how bad New Orleans wants to retain versus thinking they're going to lose Boogie in free agency. Because I'll tell you this: if the Pelicans lose Boogie for nothing in free agency, that's one of the biggest mismanagements of players' free agency of all time.
That's fair.
If he don't sign during the year, guess what? There's a chance you might lose him in the offseason.
And
he's off to an amazing start.
I think that they would be willing to take less for Boogie Cousins based on what they gave up for Boogie Cousins. You know, because they're looking at it like we gave up Buddy Hield and Langston Galloway.
And this is what you tell Anthony Davis. That's your man. That's your man. He want to be here, right? He want to run with you? Tell him to sign. That's your man. Tell him to sign.
Anthony Davis says, that's your job. That's your job.
All right, well, I'm going to trade him.
Yeah, there you go.
So I don't want to hear you complaining. But here's the other thing I say. So who you want me to get? Who you want me to get?
I don't know. The Pelicans are... You look at some teams that have kind of been around, like the Jazz, for example. You make the playoffs a little bit, you don't.
But how about this? So you have Drew Holiday. You have Anthony Davis. You wouldn't like them adding Kevin Love?
No.
I would.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, Kevin Love put up really big numbers in the Western Conference.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't want Crowder and or Shumpert and or JR?
But don't sleep on the Brooklyn pick either.
You don't want that Brooklyn pick that's going to be
Brooklyn
top
pick
5?
is what you really want. What you really want is the Brooklyn pick.
I'm down.
I can see this happening. I'm rooting against the Pelicans because I want to see this happen.
I'm like, big fella, who you want? I'm going to bring you in the office when I talk to Boogie.
If you're the Cavs, now that we're going down this hypothetical highway, if you're the Cavs, is there a part of you that says, I might be giving up a pick and a player, a contributing player, to get DeMarcus Cousins for 2 months, because once him and LeBron are on the text in the summertime and LeBron decides to leave, then DeMarcus leaves too. Next thing you know, I got nothing. It's me and Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder and Tristan Thompson.
This is the beauty of LeBron. Once, other than Kyrie Irving, who already has success, went to a couple of finals and won a championship, once you get to Cleveland, LeBron now wants to stay.
Well, then you have to sign DeMarcus and LeBron to maxes.
I mean, the last time I checked, Dan Gilbert has a couple of dollars.
Yeah, another thing is force my hand to sign DeMarcus Cousins and LeBron James to max deals.
And Isaiah.
I don't know if that's going to happen.
That's what great teams are doing. They're paying their best players millions of dollars to play basketball.
It'll be interesting to see if this happens. I could see this happening in real life. The more we talk about it, the more realistic it becomes. The Pelicans aren't looking like a team that's ready to challenge the Western Conference with the two big men.
I'll build out my squad. That's what I would do if I was them. And if I was Cleveland, I would sustain the present, and I would try to put an anchor on the future.
One final question on this.
And keep LeBron.
One final question on this. Do you think that this would be more spurned by the lack of success by the Pelicans or the lack of success by the Cavs?
This would be more spurned by the fact that Boogie isn't signed long-term with the Pelicans.
It feels to me that the Cavs would make this deal even if they're in a 14-game win streak. You know what I mean? It feels to me like the Cavs could be on a 20-game win streak and say, wait, Boogie Cousins for what? Like, yeah, we'll do that deal. Guess what? That Brooklyn pick doesn't even exist. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We always will leave you with a dope pod to step to. Don't forget, if you're subscribed to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast, to leave reviews, 5-star on iTunes, and tell your friends to subscribe to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast, because we sold out and now we're trying to blow up. We'll be back tomorrow with another dope pod to step to.